Hello everyone and welcome to a book talk for Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is book number 1 in the Founders Trilogy. This first book was published in 2018. This is an adult. It is a fantasy sci-fi. It is told in third person. When I read this, there was an audiobook available. I listened to it through Audible, and it was narrated by Tara Sands, and it was 19 hours and 34 minutes on standard one-time speed. So this particular edition is 503 pages. So what is this book about? For this one, we are following Sanchia, who is a thief, and she has some not great flashbacks to her life before, and as the book progresses, you learn more about those flashbacks. Like for instance, you know that life was rough, and then the next flashback you may learn that there was like kind of what caused a little bit of the roughness, and then you learn even more in the next flashback type of a situation. So in this, it's kind of hard to know who fully you can trust, because Sanchia can't really trust anybody. Would I say this is an unreliable narrator? Maybe, yeah, because, I mean, she's a thief, you know, and you're still getting bits and pieces of her past. So in this particular book, she is issued a job, and the job is to go and steal something that's basically to steal this box, and she is not supposed to open the box. So she goes and she gets this box. You do find out, I will say she does open the box, because the big part of what she finds in the box and kind of becomes attached to what's found in the box, and how everything starts to hit the fan because everyone wants what's in the box. So, and she's trying to not let it fall into certain hands. So she is a part of this world where it's divided into different kind of like houses, and she's part of an area that's not really attached to any one house. I mean, there's houses around, but she's kind of like in the middle of where kind of like the corner of all 4 houses is the best way that I think of. I could be wrong on that. So a lot of people don't like these houses, and they're trying to undermine them. They're trying to stick it to the man type of a thing. So she goes on this, and you know, she has this one job, and then she finds out some information, and then she goes to some people she thinks she can trust to learn a little bit more information. And there is someone from one of the houses who is trying to catch this person, and then they meet, and then they're trying to figure out if they can trust each other, what to say to each other, how far to take that trust, and things like that. With this being adult, I will say there is nothing sexually explicit, so you do not need to worry about any of that. It just has to deal with some harder topics. It's more of a denser, this is a more dense content compared to how I think if it was a young adult, it would be easier to get through and not so thick, if that makes sense. And in this world, there is this thing called scribing. So for example, I could scribe this pen. So there are people that are scribers, okay? And they scribe this pen. So it's basically to imbue it with some kind of property. For example, I could scribe this with anti-gravity. So if I were to let it go, it would sit and just float here, and it would not fall, because if I drop it, it's, you know, if I let go, it'll drop. But it would keep it in place. Or I could give it a command to where it would actually go up and fly. Or maybe it writes itself connects with my brain, and it'll write what I'm thinking. So there are different ways to scribe. There is talk of previous gods. They're kind of referred to as gods that created this scribing world or magic system, and going along through that. So there's explosions, you do see some fire on the cover, and that's pretty much all I can say about this without starting to enter into some spoiler territory, especially as this is the first book in a series. This is a lot more of the build-up and getting to know the character through this build-up and the world and everything, and I can't say too much because, again, where it's build up, it will start to spoil things for the upcoming books. Not only this one, but possibly for upcoming books, which I have not read yet. So what are your content and your trigger warnings in this? You have animal death. You do have gore. You have talk of a person being whipped. You have cannibalism talked about. Yeah. And then you have, let's see, as far as your representation goes, what do I have written down? You have two things are mentioned and one thing is hinted at. One thing that's mentioned is that there is a character in this that has dark skin. Another thing that is mentioned is someone has olive skin, so I don't know if they're two different shades or if, you know, they're technically the same. Hinted at is LGBT, specifically female is hinted at closer towards the end of the book, so I'm thinking it will be, there'll be more, that will be expanded upon in the next book is what I am thinking. Some of the other characters that we do have in this, so Sanchia is the main one that we are following. Another perspective that we are following on occasion is Gregor Dandolo. And that's the only other one that I can think of. So Gregor is the son of a well-known woman who rules a certain house. And he has certain opinions that don't really jive with her. And so there's a bit of tension there, but he wants to just do the best he can. Okay? And yeah, so again, this is told in third person. As far as the language, in case you are still on the fence, we do have the following words. Again, this edition was 503 pages, so the word count, unless I missed a word here or there, the word counts will be about the same, but depending on the edition that you have, the word use to the page count will vary, or could vary. So we have the following words. We have the phrase goddamn 55 times, ass 12, bastard 22, asshole 8, bullshit 5, queer used as odd or strange 5 times, whore 4, damn it 7, piss 4, shithole 2, son of a bitch 11, lord 1 time, not in religious context, the phrase God damn it 6, the word God 12 used in religious context in the religion of this world, candle 4 times, and that is a sexual innuendo. And I'm sure you're smart, you can figure that one out. Balls once, dog shit once, breast 4, buttocks once, thrust twice, hellbent once. Oh, there is a another content warning. Well, it just came to my mind. You are seeing, it gave me the vibes of a potential rape scene, but it's like the woman didn't consent, so it is rape. Or maybe she was forced to consent where she really wouldn't, type of a thing. So it gives that type of vibe. So just be aware of that. And that's where the thrusting comes in. So kind of you are seeing it. So there is a little bit of sexual, but it's not like a romance type sexually explicit scene. Moving on, we have hellbent 1 time, damn 108 times, the word suicide once, dumbass 3, slut once, the word God 92 times, not in religious context, bitch once, shit 147 times, and then the word hell 156 times. So that is the content of this book. So personally, on a personal level, I am going to try to tell you, I enjoyed it. I ended up giving it like a 4-star, and my favorite character in this was it Cliff or Cleve? I'm trying to remember his name. I'm wanting to say Cliff, and I could be remembering that wrong, but let's see. I think it'll say Clef, C-L-E-F. Clef is his name, not Cliff, Clef. So it's kind of combining them. I enjoyed it. Clef was my favorite character of this. So on this cover, you do have a hand that does allude to something that has to do with Sanchia. And then there is a key, which is also very important in this book. So this does have some important symbols on it. So you'll have to read it to figure out what these will be referencing to. I had fun with it. Clef made me giggle. Let me tell you some things that I underlined. I do have a couple of tabs here. I only underline things that I would consider could be good quotes to refer back to. Things like that. So we have, all things have a value. Sometimes the value is paid in coin. Other times it is paid in time and sweat. And finally, sometimes it is paid in blood. So like paid with life type of a situation. Another thing I underlined was all great things must start somewhere. And I only have 5 things underlined total, I think. Just because it doesn't work, that doesn't mean it's bad. Sometimes you need a little revolution to make a lot of good. And then the last thing I have underlined is, the choices you make will change you over time, Sanchia. Make sure they don't change you into something you don't recognize. I enjoyed that. Okay, now let's look at the about the author. It says, Robert Jackson Bennett is the author of most recently The Divine Cities Trilogy, which was a 2018 Hugo Awards finalist in the Best Series category. The first book in the series, City of Stairs, was also a finalist for the World Fantasy and Locus Awards, and the second, City of Blades, was a finalist for the World Fantasy, Locus, and British Fantasy Awards. His previous novels, which include American Elsewhere and Mr. Shivers, have received the Edgar Award, the Shirley Jackson Award, and the Philip K. Dick Citation of Excellence. He lives in Austin with his family. So there it is. That is the book. Definitely let me know if you have read Foundryside. Have you read only this first book, or have you read further on into the trilogy? Let me know. Or have you read other works by Robert Jackson Bennett? I personally enjoyed this one. Let me know if you have read Robert Jackson Bennett's work. Is this a writer for you, or is this going to be a pass? If you have not read these books, from the description that you've heard or the synopsises that you've read, because I always second guess myself with telling you these descriptions for trying to describe this book without spoiling anything. Is this a book that you would potentially be interested in, especially knowing that this is a fantasy sci-fi? Sci-fi comes into more of the, I feel like it's mostly a science fiction, but it leads into the fantasy because the magic is based in technology with the scribing, and so it leads into the fantastical elements. So I would say it's more sci-fi leaning than it is fantasy, but it does mold together. So definitely let me know if this is going to be a pass for you, or if this is one that you would be interested in picking up in the future at some point. Definitely let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.